Hello everyone, you're welcome to the next lesson, which is the continuation of the first lesson where we talked about the components of the system unit. And today we are now going to look at the physical appearance of these components one by one. Like in the first lesson, we talked about the RAM, the ROM, Cmos, CPU, motherboard, expansion slots, etc. Now let's begin with the CPU, whereby I said in the first lesson that it is the component of the computer which is responsible for controlling and coordinating whatever that takes place inside the system unit or inside the computer. So here, when we are going to see, or when we are going to have a look at the CPU, there are some things that we need to know, that on top of the CPU we have what we call the system fan. Like I said in the first lesson, this is the component that cools the CPU whenever it heats up. Whenever a computer overworks, this is the component which is responsible for cooling down the CPU. And the system fan, this is how it looks like. But it is not the only fan that sits inside the computer system. We have other different fans, like we have a fan which is here close to the power supply. The use of it also, it is to cool down the power supply whenever a computer is working. Now here still we've not reached the CPU yet. Below the CPU fan, we have another component which is called the heatsink. The heatsink, the use of it is to absorb excess heat that is being generated by the processor. Whenever we are going to remove the heatsink, normally a heatsink does not come with any nail or anything to tie it, but what we do when we are going to remove it, we enlarge these components that handles it. We enlarge them a little and then we remove it. It comes out well. So a heat sink, this is how it looks like. And then below is the guy that we've been talking about, is the component that we have been talking about, or we've been yearning to see. How does it look? This is how it looks like. But whenever when we want to remove it, there is normally on the left side of it there is a very small part which we have to unlock it with some good care, and then you can be able to remove the CPU. So this is the system unit. It's the component that controls and coordinates whatever takes place inside the computer. That is why very many people call it the brain of a computer. But when you look at the CPU, when it is removed out, it has very many small pins. Whenever you remove it, please be careful, do not break any of these pins. If one of them breaks, it may not work again. And whenever you are going to put it back again, we are not supposed to use any force. Don't apply a force, but there is some special force that we need to apply. It's called the ZIF, the ZIF, which is the zero insertion force. It's the only force that we can apply, which is zero insertion force. If you wish to put it back and remove it, you don't need to apply any force. So next we can talk about the RAM and the ROM. So here with me I have this component. This component, it's the RAM, but when you look at my RAM here, there is another part which is empty. Like I said, we have what we call the expansion slots. So this is another expansion slots. Like I said in the first video, that whenever you feel like your computer is not running at the speed that you wish, it is advisable for you to go and buy another chip and fit into these slots. So whenever you wish to remove a RAM chip, there are some two parts that we need to remove. Like you do it, we remove it here and here, then the RAM comes out automatically. So this is how it looks like, and whenever if you want to fit it back, just put it, do not touch these holders, the ones that I had to force to bend them down. If you are putting them back, do not touch on these holders, just put the RAM and then place it a bit, the holders will have to come automatically. Like I said, if you are removing, bend down the holders, then the RAM chip will come out. And if you wish to put it back, do not touch on the holders, but just push the RAM chip inside as the holders come and tie it well. Next, again, here we can talk about what we call the Cmos. The Cmos is here. So this is the component of the motherboard, of the component of the system unit. Like I said, it is the component that stores the configuration settings of the computer. The use of it is to store the configuration settings of the computer, like it stores the date, it stores the time, it stores the password, and very many others. So its use is only to help to keep the computer on whenever a computer is switched off. So how does it keep it on? It makes sure that a computer does not lose its date, it does not lose its time, it does not lose the passwords. So this is the component which is responsible for doing all of that. And if you have forgotten the password, it is advisable you remove the Cmos, open your system unit, remove the Cmos for like 5 minutes and then put it back. If it is not the BIOS password, if it is just this other ordinary password, if it is not BIOS password, that password will be lost, because this is where it is kept. So in this video we've looked at the CPU, the heatsink, the CPU fan, the RAM, etc. But we are going to make, actually I'm going to make a different video, another video showing the different parts. We are going to look at each and every component that is inside this system unit. So we are remaining with a good number of them, like the buses, power supply, motherboard, expansion slots, and the BIOS. So I'm going to stop it here, then another video is coming soon with the different components. I remain your teacher, Luwagga Moses.